Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload we'll be talking about a potential new storm system across the United States. This one is the new one is pretty tied in pretty well with that old occurring system, the blizzard across the Northwest that I've been talking about. And for this first part of this video, the first few minutes, I just kind of want to go over the snowfall totals this system produced and what the remaining pieces of the energy will do, and then what to expect next. So I will spend a bit of time doing that. But again, obviously, then I'll go into that big potential new storm system that could be developing. More rain, more severe weather, and a bit of snow as well possible with that one. So definitely a concern. Before we do, if you guys would like to, or if you guys like what you're seeing, you could subscribe, you could watch my other videos and decide for yourself. And, if it's worthy of subscription. And if you are a returning viewer, liking the video, if possible, would be amazing. So, let's get into this. So, first off, let's start off by looking at the total snowfall accumulation. So, right now, the highest amount of snow across the West, the whole West, is 18 inches. And that is just east of Sacramento by maybe, 100, 200 miles, maybe a bit more, in the mountains right there. 18 inches, Twin Bridges, California. And again, this system, honestly, as of now, has done and been forecasted pretty well. So a lot of these snowfall totals up here are already pretty high, 12 inches, 12 inches. But notice that they're all from the morning hours, 6:45, 9:30 a.m. This one's a bit more updated, 12 p.m. But still, as of recording, this is now 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So 4 hours after this occurred. And notice that we see. You can see that Central Standard Time that's reported in. It's adjusted to Central Standard Time. But notice up here, 12 inches at 9:17 a.m. That will most likely, at this time where the snow is still occurring across those locations, is probably going to reach 2 feet of snow, which is actually even a bit more than forecasted. So this system has definitely done what it was forecasted to. Notice across Idaho, also some generous amounts, but again, these areas were forecasted to be lighter amounts of snow. Just west of or east of Los Angeles, Big Bear Lake, Arrowhead City, or Lake Arrowhead, California, 7 inches, but again, this was as of yesterday in the evening, and there could be a second wave coming in through here. Southern Colorado also saw quite a bit, but again, as of 9:41. So definitely, this is going to be getting updated. I use the HER model, the HRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh model, to look at the next 18 to 24 hours of the United States because it does a very good job. It's very detailed, and more often than not, it's right. However, again, I would say around 60% times it's right, 40% times it's wrong, which, or wrong, it's a bit a different scenario than it forecasted. Notice that this model goes out to 18 hours, but every 6 hours, 00Z, 12Z, 6Z, and then 18Z, it goes out to 36 hours, which I'll show you in just a bit. But since that 36-hour time frame was a bit few models back, I want to show you the most updated one. Unfortunately, it doesn't go out as far. Notice that we still have snow as of recording this video occurring across much of northern Montana. A lot of ice pushing into Saskatchewan and Manitoba, as well as snow and into Alberta. But we also see a new low pressure or a new area of spin forming across the west, which will lead into our next system. But notice, let's focus on this area first. As we push into the overnight hours, we still see that snow hanging on and dwindling, but it's still definitely there. So a few more inches. If you're 20 inches right now across portions of Montana, I would expect maybe 5 to 6, maybe 7 more inches across the higher amounts. And then notice that this spin that we were talking about, right? It continues dumping quite a bit of snow across the mountains. Very, very heavy snowfall rates. And even though this system doesn't look too awfully organized, notice it does end up producing quite a bit of snow across southern Colorado as well. So those locations will see additional snow. Notice that this is now 2 o'clock in the morning Monday. We start seeing a band of precipitation forming across the Dakotas and into Minnesota, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. As this pushes forward, this is now early Monday, 3, 4 o'clock. We start seeing a snow scenario set up. The models really haven't shown this up until the past few model runs, the past few hours, honestly. There were some signs of this, but it was uncertain, and now it seems more and more likely to happen. I do also want to point out there will be a tropical storm system across Florida, so definitely be prepared for that if you live there. Quite a bit of rain and precipitation will be associated with that. And I want to, emphasize that I do not talk about tropical storms on here really as much as I used to because of how I don't want to spread any misinformation or be accused of any. You may be thinking, okay, but how is that different from winter storm? Winter storms are just, they're less dangerous, whatever you put it. They're much less dangerous than a hurricane and a tropical system. And you would know that if you were under one of these things. These things are beasts. These things are strong winter storms, right? But not nearly as strong as a weak tropical storm. So let's take a look at what happens. So notice, as I was saying, we could be looking at a increasing band of snow and rain across the Dakotas and into Minnesota early Monday morning. So if you're traveling across kind of the upper plains into tomorrow morning or into tonight, be aware because you may be going through an area of mix. You can see a bit of that purple, some rain, even some thunderstorms or some heavy snow. And this is a bit of a surprise, especially since these models have just recently started showing this snow potential, this band of snow. Again, this won't be historic amounts of snow, any of that sort, but they will be falling pretty heavily, the snow amounts and the snowfall rates, so they will lead to whiteout conditions. Notice this thing actually gets pretty impressive, right? We see snow across much of South Dakota, pushing into North Dakota, Minnesota, and into Nebraska. Again, with that system across Utah, seeing quite a bit of snow going on. The higher elevations really maxing out quite a bit of snow you can see across southern Colorado. Now let's go back a few model runs, so this information isn't as updated, but it goes out a bit further. Notice, though, generally the same. We see that snow band develop, lots of rain, lots of snow, a bit of mixing, and again, more maxing out of snow across the Colorado Rockies, southern Colorado Rockies, into Utah, northern New Mexico, northern Arizona, southern Wyoming. Again, this thing doesn't seem to hold on or develop into much of anything after, I would say, midday Monday, where it's already over for the most part, but we start seeing a development of the system into Tuesday, and you can see that we have a cold front right there, and we start seeing some snow. And this is where things go a bit crazy, so not crazy, but interesting. So notice that this is a GFS reflective composite radar / frozen. I want to go back to this one. And what we see is, again, we have that band of snow develop. This thing kind of disappears. The snow really dissipates. We still see a bit of rain, but we still have that main piece of spin across the Rockies. And what that does is, using the energy from this cold front, late Monday evening into early Tuesday morning, this thing starts developing. And by 7 o'clock Tuesday, we start seeing snow push back into Idaho, Washington, Montana. So more snow across those locations. It looks as if the West will just be very active. But notice that from 7 o'clock morning Tuesday to around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so kind of the mid-morning hours, we start seeing a low pressure develop. Now, the GFS has this system develop into a low pressure at around the Quad Cities area, Iowa, kind of the Des Moines latitude. But some models are developing a bit earlier, further to the south. Now, notice that this develops a pretty small band of snow, but I want to emphasize that other models are showing this band of snow as being really equal size, but probably some very heavy snowfall rates under this. As you can see, this thing is juiced up. It uses quite a bit of tropical moisture to its advantage, and it also uses the remaining cold front energy from that previous system, and of course that spin of energy off the west coast. So this thing evolves into a system, lots of rain potential with this. This probably is even bigger than the snow threat. Notice that portions of Minnesota, that's southeastern, kind of like the boot of Minnesota, if you will, could start seeing rain as early as midnight Tuesday or 2 o'clock in the morning Tuesday, wee morning hours, and that rain could continue, that transition into snow, all the way into late afternoon hours Tuesday. So some of this rain will be falling heavily and for a long period of time, so some flooding is possible. The winds, thankfully, aren't that strong with this system. However, they definitely will be gusty and blowing at times pretty strongly, though again, it doesn't seem to be a blizzard or any sort of that scenario that we had across Montana. Notice, though, that this continues to push into Canada, and of course I forecast Canada as well, and we see a lot of the Arrowhead of Minnesota get some pretty decent snow, and right now the National Weather Service is forecasting around 6 inches for those areas. I think that's pretty conservative, and we'll see those snowfall amounts increase quite a bit as we push into closer and closer to this event. And then notice into Canada, it develops a pretty large system. And in terms of the total snowfall amounts from the GFS, Notice that we see really a measly amount from that first one. We see more impressive from that second one, and I say more impressive because of how sudden this was. It kind of popped out of nowhere. You could see 5 to 6 inches across portions of South Dakota with that first wave, and then notice across with the GFS that second wave also similar amounts, but some of the models earlier on in the week were showing higher amounts, which is why it's a bit of a disappointment or a lowering of the amounts. Notice the HER model, the 21Z, the most recent model. Let's go back to the 20 since that one isn't fully in yet. Still shows quite a bit more snow across Montana, maybe even some locations seeing up to a foot. So earlier I said 7, 8, 9 inches. Apparently, according to this, even more. Notice we do see more snow across Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, and Arizona and New Mexico with that spin, that second wave, if you will. And quickly we start seeing that snow push out into the plains early Monday morning. And again, the HER model also agrees that we could be seeing some pretty decent amounts of snow. Let's take a look at some other models, say like the Canadian model. Notice it puts out quite a good amount of snow across these locations. This shows more here because it's a bit of an older model. It's initialized on the 12Z, so around noon of Sunday the 8th, while the ones I were just showing you were initialized either a couple hours ago or yeah, both of them were initialized at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is when I'm recording this. Notice, though, this seems pretty accurate, though, because the snow hasn't started here yet. So the Canadian has increased the snow amounts a bit compared to the GFS. It shows some pretty decent snow amounts across southern Colorado, even some very heavy snowfall amounts. Notice, points out quite a bit of snow across the Dakotas and into Nebraska. And then with that second wave, you can see it increases that snow into that pink coloring, which is widespread 6+ inches, which may not seem like a lot when we are looking at, 18 inches of snow here, but 6 inches across more populated areas is definitely something to talk about and is a concern. Let's take a look at the GFS parallel. I think this model run is outdated, so yeah, there's no point in showing it. You can see this model has definitely the strongest scenario out of this, but it's a bit older. It's out of the 6th of November, a few days old, so a lot of this has fallen, and it does show an intense snow across the Montana area. But the European, that's the model I want to look at the most since it seems the most accurate. It has done a pretty good job with this first storm, and let's see what it does with the second one. So notice still continuing a bit of snow into Montana, quite a bit of snow into Manitoba or Saskatchewan and Manitoba as it pushes into the overnight Monday hours. And then Monday morning, we start seeing again that band of snow potentially across the Dakotas. As long as we see the precipitation in terms of the form of rain developing across these areas, then most likely snow will be occurring because where these areas are, or where the Dakotas are, the cold air will be in place for those areas. So if the rain starts falling, it will eventually transition into snow. And again, the high resolution models have been showing this, so it looks as if a pretty good deal of South Dakota, North Dakota, maybe seeing some 3 to 5 inch amounts. Again, nothing significant, but it is going to impact the roads nonetheless and travel. And then you can see that the European model does show that second system develop. And again, these snowfall rates will be very, very heavy. They'll be falling extremely heavy. This system has a lot of moisture, a lot of stuff to work with, and I do want to mention that with that previous blizzard we were seeing, there wasn't a lot of rain, right? There was a bit of ice and snow. With this system, there could be more rain, and even potentially with the way this is organized and this low pressure, we could be looking at a potential severe weather threat across portions of Illinois, maybe into Missouri. November has been historically a bit more active than even October or September for the Midwest in terms of tornadoes. And again, as I mentioned, very heavy snowfall rates, and the only thing preventing this from being a blockbuster large system is because of how quickly it moves out. And notice this thing is speeding along into southern Canada through the Arrowhead. Again, I forecast for Canada as well, so notice that these locations will be seeing quite a good amount of snow. Where it slows down a bit, we start seeing some ice as it mixes in further a bit to the north with a bit more precip from this tropical system right here. And notice if I were to zoom out, which I kind of want to, and then show you this, we could see again a tropical storm initially bringing in quite a bit of precipitation, but that gets swooped up by the cold front, so it doesn't really make its way far into the western or central United States, and this thing gets put into the panhandle, kind of the mid of Florida. And then we start seeing more activity, more snow across the west and more snow potential across the east and rain potential. So a lot of uncertainty, but again, as of now, we have this blizzard, remaining of this blizzard to unfold, and then we have this second system with several batches of snow to unfold, and after that, we could be looking at a bit more of a break, again, with the tropical storm hitting portions of Florida, or hurricane. I don't know exact intensity of it, but notice that this is the snow to come. The European shows 478 inches across across the arrowhead, not the panhandle, the arrowhead of Minnesota, and then maybe 4 to 5 inches across the actual Twin Cities. Again, quite a bit of snow could still fall across Canada into Saskatchewan and Manitoba. I want to point out that this model is 4 hours old, so some of the snow has already fallen, but I would still generally say up to a foot of snow across these locations is possible. And I just want to show you this in long range. Things look active. Look at that. Portions of British Columbia seeing 67 inches within a 10-day forecasting period. So a lot of activity, a lot of potential for fun stuff, and we'll keep you guys updated. But as of now, that's it for today. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.